maybe I just don't want to talk to you. No, you're sad. Okay.
You mean Courtney doesn't think you have expert intuition, Susie? Well, then obviously you don't, because Courtney is entirely reliable in her conclusions about things. And, I trust her to make decisions for me. In general, I trust her to assess things. When I'm like, hey, I've got a medical condition, what should I do? I could go to the doctor, but instead I'm calling Courtney. If I say, I need typology, I could talk to somebody who knows stuff, but I say, no, I'm calling Courtney. If I say, like, oh, hey, I want to, I don't know, eat and breathe and drink liquids occasionally or something. Should I go get food or water or air? No, I'm fucking calling Courtney. She knows everything. That woman is an absolute genius. I've never met anybody who impresses me intellectually more than Courtney. The stupidest woman I've ever met?
I don't think I've ever met her.
Well, let me show you how stupid she is. I guarantee you, if I had titled that video something different, she would have been totally fine with it. She reacted entirely to the titles. That's why there are only 2 videos she doesn't want up there. The one titled "An Hour and a Half with Earth's Stupidest Woman." Why doesn't she like it? Because the title says that she's the stupidest woman on earth. The second one was she didn't want up there was Courtney proves she wants host Eric's dick. She didn't want that because that too has a bad title. The actual stupidity contained within the video is entirely irrelevant to her because she's unable to recognize stupidity. So,
stupidity is so easy to recognize, though.
Not if you're TI polar. And that's what she is.
I'm TI
Dom.
Solid.
You're TI Dom, or you might be TI second. It's like, I've thought a few times you might be an ENTP, but I think you are an INTP. But
no,
you just
I only come on here when I'm manic or when I'm intoxicated. That's the only time.
Those are the best times to come on, Josh.
Well, that's the only time that I feel comfortable expressing.
So you're a TI dominant then. Courtney's an ESFP. She's got TI in the 7th slot, which is why, if you've ever seen An Hour and a Half with Earth's Stupidest Woman, it is shocking. It's not what you reduce to feelers. Not all feelers are stupid at all. She isn't stupid because she's a feeler. She's stupid because she's a TI dom.
My mother is an ESFP. We get along great. It's weird. Or maybe it's not weird.
It's weird.
That's the complete opposite of who I am. But we're best friends. But she's totally governed by her emotions. And whenever, for example, she'll ask me a question, and she'll want like a 1-sentence answer, but I can't do that. I have to explain everything because I feel I'm doing her a disservice if I just give her a 1-sentence answer. And I'll go into monologue mode, which I do all the time, and it drives her crazy. But that's the one thing that me and my mother clash upon is my inability to just answer a question. And
well, Josh,
but I love her.
When you've been asked a question, the answer is contingent on framing, and so you have to explain all the different possible ways to frame something, and then why you prefer the framework that you do, and then why the framework that you do prefer suggests the position statements you're making. All that stuff is necessary for anybody to fully understand the answer to the question they've asked.
Exactly.
Unfortunately for you, your mother is not evaluating your statements on conditionality consistency frameworks as you are. She's evaluating them on whether or not they are what she wants to hear.
Yes.
So next time your mom says, Josh, do you love me? You say, yes, Mom, I love the shit out of you.
All right. She asked me a question. How? I don't remember what exactly. This was a while ago. My brother has cerebral palsy. He has epilepsy and schizophrenia, which his last major seizure sent him into about 6 months ago, and she was asking me a question about his Medicaid because he's on Medicaid, and she wanted to know, I don't know, something simple about it. But I had to go into the whole process of getting Medicaid and all the intricacies of being applicable or eligible for it, and I don't know. I went off into just 3 or 4 tangential discussions to just to make a simple point that yes, he is eligible for Medicaid, but I had to explain to her everything about it, and it drove her completely insane. We got in an argument about it. And
but that's because you do not value TE, Josh. You incredibly don't value TE. But the thing is, you should value it more because it's 5th, not 6th. I don't value it, but you should value it a little bit more. The thing is, TE would tell you, I want this, I want to be efficient in communicating to my mother what she wants to know, rather than telling you, my mother needs to understand why my position is consistent with other positions or within itself and stuff like that. But,
well, it's like the base question she wants to know is contingent upon other the answer that she wants is contingent upon other answers, and I have to give her all of these other answers to bring her back to the original point. And I go off into all these crazy tangents, and like 3 or 4 different tangents from the original subject before I can justify my answer. I have to justify my answer to her. I can't just give her the answer. I have to justify it.
That's because you're an objectivity donor, which says, I don't believe shit that is subjectively or internally justified. I think things should be justified in ways that are subject to scrutiny. Well, that's TI in a nutshell. It makes perfect sense that you would want things to be fully explained.
And I try to break them down into lay terms. I'm pretty damn good at it, but that sometimes she just doesn't have the time for it. She just wants the answer, and I can't just give her an answer. I have to explain why it's correct.
But even if she listens to you, she won't.
No, she's not listening to me, and I know she's not.
Follow.
I know she's not. I know, but I have to keep going. And I know what's going on when I'm doing it, but I can't stop myself. I just can't.
Nobody says you necessarily should. I'm just saying that, it's indicative of your nature that you value consistency highly.
And I also am. I'm cliche to the INTP in that I am better at proving things. I prefer to tear down an argument than to build one up in many ways. I definitely value my ability to build an argument and justify it, but I also value my ability to prove people wrong. And that's almost as valuable, or almost as close to my heart as proving something right. I don't know.
For sure, because look, TI is all about parsing. It's about, well, if X and Y, then X and also Y. So it's like, but you said blah, and then there's also blah, and those things aren't consistent with each other. Standard, that's a TINE process. Now, as TI first, INTPs go check for consistency in a way that's a little bit more SI driven. So they reference shit that they know from SI, and then they go, okay, well, there's inconsistencies here. And then if that provides inadequate right away shit, then they go to NE to come up with some new ideas.
Mm.
But
I'm constantly second guessing myself. I'm always in a process of justifying my own objective truths to myself. I have to. It's like it's like I argue with myself in my mind all day long.
Do you know what TISI actually is? What it causes?
what? Tell me.
Depression. It's recipe for depression.
Is it?
It is.
Because you're constantly second guessing yourself. You're constantly trying to reevaluate information that you've stored and make it consistent with what new information is coming in. And when new information comes in that challenges what you already know, it throws me through a loop, and I have to sit for hours and find a new way of constructing all of my knowledge to be consistent with itself. And I'm usually very confident in my stances on subjects, but I'm also at the same time second guessing myself whenever I take in a new piece of information. It doesn't fit in with my current construct of knowledge. And
So
it's
Susie,
maddening.
Susie, I want you to explain how you experience SITI.
It's going through shit that happened, right? And trying to make meaning of it. And if you can't make meaning of it, you go through it again and again and again and again. And if you can't make a meaning, you will be frustrated by it. And if you let that happen, it will drive you insane.
It does.
So you can
My mind-
either try to or find more information. Finding more information is usually the most useful approach.
I crave information. I crave it.
Yes, but
It's
if you sit there not finding new information externally, it will drive you mad.
It does.
So basically, you're saying use your extroverted function to link stuff in the outside world back to your introverted function TI, which is interesting because I need, whereas you need NE to fix the problem, I need TI to fix my problem. Because instead of becoming depressed, I become untethered. And untethered is bad too. And so for me, it means I have to actually seek out like other people's ideas. I have to learn instead of just intuiting all the time.
Yeah, but that's also an approach that can work for us, because if you get so stuck in the loop, you might end up not looking to the sides. You narrow it down, narrow it more and more narrow, and it gets more and more difficult to look elsewhere.
It's like a vicious cycle that never ends. It's constantly reevaluating everything you know to prove it to yourself.
Yeah, but I don't remember. I made a comment on the video that Casual uploaded with him and Barry talking about it. And Barry said this exact same thing, just in different words. That it's all bullshit. TISI, it's my nature. Yeah, maybe, but it's still bullshit. You shouldn't do it.
But it's very easy to fall into that.
Yeah, and I need to learn that we shouldn't do that to ourselves.
Yes.
I mean, the thing is, I experienced SI loops of a sort, but they were, when I was a kid, I remember going through this mental process of determining one day that this was a waste of time and I needed to stop doing it, which was going through mistakes that I had already made and thinking of other ways I could have behaved that would have been better.
When I was a child, when I was like, all right, I was a very well speaker by 2 years old. I was having full-blown conversations with my parents. I was reading probably at like a second grade level when I was 3. What would keep me up at night when I was like 2 and 3 years old were things like what happened before time began. What happened? You know, what am I real? Is this real? What am I made out of? Smart.
I consider smart. I mean, you could easily make the argument that he's way smarter than me because his life is way more put together than mine is. You know,
I
you could make that argument, but the bottom line is that when I realized he wasn't nearly as he couldn't hang with me at all. It was sad. It didn't make me feel like proud or anything. I was like, oh,
you don't really get it, and I wish you did.
You're not excited by my great reason why what you just said is bullshit.
Yeah, my dad is my father. My father. I grew up in a very conservative Christian home, and I struggled. That was my big struggle when I was a child. Was questioning Christianity, and
yeah, very different experience for me. My parents were both atheists and rather staunch atheists. They talk shit about Christians all the time. It was like, those fucking Christians are up to it again. They freak out about shit like, oh, well, the Christians insist on putting a nativity scene up. They're like, those goddamn Christians. So I heard that shit all the time.
I live in Richmond, Virginia now. I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. My parents and my grandmother all worked. My grandmother was the person in charge of putting. Do you know who Jimmy Swaggart is?
Yeah.
I have sinned. My grandmother she's an ENFJ. She's a wonderful woman, but she was in charge of putting him on television and radio all over the world. And my dad worked there doing running all the computer systems, and I was very immersed within that community.
In fact, your job, Josh, was to make sure no regular water got mixed in with the holy water. I gotta go smoke a cigarette.
Nice pajama pants, bro. Can't be that cold, Kentucky. It sucks.
Yeah. But we do it all the time, naturally, right? The problem
Are you an
is,
INFP?
yeah.
Okay, all right. I wasn't sure. I thought you were an INFJ.
Oh no. The thing is, it's almost a natural state of existing, right?
It makes me feel like a social mischief.
However, the problem is,
But I value the qualities that I have, though.
yeah,
Great.
but the problem is learning to understand when it's bad for you, because most of the time it's productive. But when it comes to
Relations.
not necessarily relations, let's say bad shit happens in life. That's a fact. Bad shit happens, and it doesn't always have a reason.
I know.
And trying to make meaning of it can be painful and a huge waste of time. And in the process, you end up.
Well, that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, but that made sense to you, right?
Oh yeah. I have to make meaning of everything, or else. That's why, like, all right, my father.
Yeah, and that's why.
I love my dad. He's a terrible person. He's a completely emotionally transactional person. You do this, I do this for you. You do this for me. I love you in this way. You must love me in this way. And it was terrible growing up because I wasn't the son that he wanted. But I can't just. As many terrible things he said to me and to my mother and to my brother. My parents are divorcing now after 38 years. I can't not care for him or love him because I think I said this before. Like I psychologically break him down and understand why he acts the way he acts, and I can't be upset with him because I know why he is the way he is, and that's a part of me trying to find reason and for the way he behaves, and all it does is hurt me every time. I get hurt every time I let him back in, but I can't help it because I know that he's psychologically damaged, and I allow that. I allow myself to be hurt constantly because I feel sorry for him. I guess I feel sorry for him for the way he is and the way he was. His upbringing. He had a terrible upbringing. His parents were terrible. I think he has borderline personality disorder. You know, he feels slighted. You can say something nice to him, and he'll take it as a slight, and then he won't talk to you for like 3 weeks or something. And but I know that he's psychologically damaged, and I try to find logical reasons why he is the way he is to make it. I guess maybe it's a coping device for me, possibly. I don't know. It might just be a coping device that I use to feel less hurt when I disappoint him. Because I'm not a terribly effective person. I'm a very brainy. I'm not a very effective person. And I'll do this. Yeah, I'm not a very effective person. I can do anything. Putting things into action is not my strong suit. He is a very effective person. Very responsible. Very I would say he's probably an ESFJ, probably. he's definitely a judger. Maybe he's an ENTJ. I don't know. I've never really tried to type him. He acts differently all the time. I do know that he always wanted me to be something that I couldn't be. And he always let me know about it. And I remember when I was a child, I did everything perfectly. My brother had his palsy. They were busy with him. They didn't give me much attention. My sister was born. She had learning disabilities. They were busy with her. I was getting honor society when I was in elementary, middle school, and part of high school before I got deeply into drugs. I stopped doing homework because I didn't think that I needed to do it because I got A's on all my tests and I didn't see any need. Busy work is just ridiculous to me. And I don't know. I don't even know what he wanted me to be. I don't even know what he wants to be. So I spent most of my time with my grandmother. She nurtured me more than my parents did. And I'm kind of glad. That I didn't have a good relationship with my parents when I was younger, because I do value my relationship with my grandmother greatly, above all else. I love her so much. She's always treated me with respect and listened to my ideas, and she'll engage with me intellectually, even though she's a feeler, and she'll do it because she loves me. Basically, she'll deal with my monologues and my crazy theories because she loves me. She turns 80 this year, though. She's in good health, but I worry about her leaving me. Yeah, I love my grandmother. I love my mom too. I oh no, my grandmother's not a prick. Well, you know what? NFJ, very kind woman. She does a lot for people. She's moderately wealthy. She gives a lot of money to people. She helps everyone out, but she does seek attention for the good things that she does. That's the one downfall. That doesn't brag about. Lets people know that she does good things. Yes. Yeah. Make sure to wipe. But she's a staunch Republican, super conservative. I'll never ever sway her, but she'll listen to my arguments. I'm getting tired.
Fucking hell, that sounds like a double bass.
Is someone sleeping? Snoring?
Yeah, it's Kimberly.
I thought it was a motocross event.
I'm totally. I think it's this video on. Next time I go to sleep at night, I'm gonna put my iMac on and record myself sleeping and see what I do when I sleep. I've never done that before. Because a lot of times I talk in my sleep and I act out my dreams physically.
Business and becoming a billionaire.
If I were a billionaire, I would probably spend most of my money on other people. Because it makes me feel good. I'm selfish that way.
I'm gonna understand love better before I get a shit ton of money.
You don't understand love?
So not to what extent or on what metric I would measure how much I know. I just know I love more.
I have an innumerable amount of love within me. I just don't know how to project it towards people. I don't know. I can't understand when people need my effort. I mean, too many hats. A lot. But I appear to be. And that bothers me. I wish I was able to show all the love that I have to people in a more understandable way for them to grasp, I suppose.
Hi. I have another topic for the video.
Do it while you're shitting.
Yeah.
All the best ideas come when you're taking a shit.
It's why ENFPs are so much less offensive than ESFPs, even though they both have TI4. Okay, so let's do that. Here we go. Watch this app. Hello, friends. Host Eric here with Art Dad and Stacey, Josh, Kessel, Kent, Elsie, and of course, our beloved pod. We're talking today about the difference between the ESFP and the ENFP personality types. The reason we're distinguishing between the two is they both have polar TI. What does that mean? It means their place of least resistance or their blind spot is consistency. And you might say, argumentation presented for scrutiny is not their strong suit. They don't tend to value it at either side at all. Either type doesn't value it at all. And they both tend to make the same mistake. They say, well, but your logic is just really just prefer that. Okay, well, especially NTPs, respond differently to one rather than the other. So note that ESFP goes SEFITNI, and the NFP goes NEFITESI. So how does that make me display very differently? Well, I think the best way to evaluate it is to say to talk about an order of operations. So an ENFP takes that physical action first. Some sort of notion, creative notion or improvisational notion or whatever that links disparate things. That's their first course of action. Then they check their metaphysical action against their introverted feelings. Remember, the action they've taken is in the world of conditionality, namely the world of metaphysics. So even though they are not being conditionally consistent, they're not judging their own metaphysical action based on a consistency metric. Their metaphysical action is nevertheless subject to the same rule metaphysical action is, namely, time goes both directions. They can take it back. They can re-ideate. If in fact their idea hurts someone's feelings, they can frame it so that the person understands it as being something different, all that kind of stuff. Right? Now, there's a function of the ENFPs, and that means they're all about being effective at the end of the day. Their hidden agenda is to be effective. To be effective at what? To be effective about being creative in ways that are validated by their own inferred feeling, valuing, and that's consistent with maintaining their good relationships and all that kind of stuff. And then their final slot, they got SI. So like me, they kind of use SI haphazardly. Whereas the INTPs were discussing not that long ago about how a TI-SI loop was crushing. Any SI loop, it relates to being slightly untethered because the thing is, for example, when I'm in any SI loop, what that means is I keep thinking about some of the goals I wanted to do and different things I could have done. I treat it as though it were in a conditionality realm, but it's not. And so that's just like futile banging my head against the wall. But the thing is, the ENFP has a similar relationship with SI, which is it provides them shit when they, in their improvisational process, kind of unbidden. But it's not very reliable in terms of track of their ideation, because they do, 80% ideation, 20% keeping track of it, just like NTP does. Now let's switch over to the ESFP. The ESFP first takes physical action, in other words, causes shit to happen. Then they check to see if their physical actions are causing actual shit to happen. It's a good idea. Based on the feel good or not. Then they go, okay, well, now that I've taken that action and I decided to feel good about it, let me figure out how to make it effective for something or useful for something. And then last, they go, now that I've done all that shit, really a good idea? That's a recipe for disaster. Because unlike the